Shalom Yashrala, this your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught us this truth and our will. And salutation, much love for you, God, can push this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here topic, which is dealing with a segment of the World Economic Forum, dealing with, the YouTube situation and everything else like that, as we've been seeing over the years, the multiple different changes that they've been making over to YouTube, from whether, when you have to upload the videos, you have to say whether it's for children or not, or, certain words and certain topics, they put those little boxes on and give you so-called information about it, which, a lot of the time shadow bans you. A lot of our videos getting, we used to get a lot of the copyright. We still get copyright strikes, and they'll take down your videos for certain things. And, and they go way back. It's funny that on my main channel, it seems like every time I get a strike and the strike goes away, they strike another video. And I hadn't uploaded on that channel for a while, but they'll still keep going back to old videos and keep, keeping you up to 2 strikes. So, you're 1 strike away from losing your channel. But, hey, it's all up to the Lord, but getting back to this here subject, I'm gonna play a little bit of this here video of how they address some of these things. Now, if you watch also some of these events that's going on that they have popping off, they use certain things in their backdrop. Not saying that some of these events are completely staged or not, but a lot of the times they have a saying, it's never let a good crisis go to waste. And just to give you an example about some of these things, you can have just somebody who goes, and I'm gonna have to, edit a little bit of this, but somebody that'll go do something crazy, right? Like as we seen up in, I think it was in the Buffalo situation, right? In that scenario, it could have just been some, let's just say hypothetically, some random stuff happened, right? Let's say dude might have been pissed off at his job or something like that, and things went crazy. But don't nobody really know the real story because, we watching it on the news, unless you locally there, they'll be like, oh, that ain't really what happened. This is actually what happened, We see these things happen a lot of times, especially if something happens into your so-called local area where let's say you was there, you knew what was going on, but once you watch it on the news, they spin the news a completely different type of way. Just like, for instance, with this whole global sickness type thing, if you watch the news here in Florida, right, this is where we are, but, I had a lot of relatives when the whole global sickness thing was going on, right, that was calling here talking about some y'all alive. I heard that they got bodies piling up out there. It's just a huge, everybody's out there infected and everybody getting sick and everything's just shut down. And I'm like, nah, man, we walking around. We ain't got no mask on. Everything, everything's fine out here. I don't know what y'all talking about, but you guys are watching the news from outside, looking in on what we have going on here, and the same thing that happens like with the hurricanes and things like that. Every time that there's a hurricane somewhere nearby, I get family members calling and checking in and this and that because they watch the news and how bad it is. Like, man, it's sunny outside right now for us. I don't know what y'all talking about, but they'll push certain narratives, from outside the area just because they can use that to their advantage, right? So let's go back to that, the Buffalo situation. They could, let's just say, I'm not saying this is what happened, but let's just say hypothetically, homeboy got mad at his job and went in there and went postal, like, oh, well, this is a great time for us to push so-called, let's just say it was some hate speech and this and that going on and, all these different things, and it was radicalized off the internet and all these different things. But, we've scrubbed the internet before we even took the dude in custody so that you can't find none of this stuff on the internet to back it all up. They can use these things to their advantage to paint the narrative that they want to push. Again, I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying hypothetically, they could use these things to their advantage. And as we can see, a lot of these things have an eerie echo of the things that, we speak about and everything else like that. So like going back to the Buffalo situation, it was like he was radicalized and a white supremacist and talking about, being a nationalist and replacement theory. Basically, he's basically, when they talk about that nationalist, he's basically saying a Jake over, and that's kind of like what we tell about the kingdom. Like, hey, man, Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. They just pretty much spin it from the opposite direction. So when people get these things into their mind, they kind of recognize it a certain way. But, hey, nevertheless, this is, the times that we have coming. So I'm going to play a little bit of this here video. I'm going to read some scriptures and play a little bit of this here video as to show you what times that we're living in. But I'm going to read this first in Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 1. It says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasures in them. All right. Because look, these days are coming to pass, man. All right. And you don't want to be, let me find this precept real quick. Give me 1 second. What is it? 5. I think it's yeah. This is let me just to reiterate, of seeking the Lord while the evil days come not. This is Second Ezra 5:9. It says, "And salt water shall be found in the sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another, and then shall wit hide itself and understanding withdraw itself into a secret chamber." So look, man, you want to be able to get as much of this as you can before as we can see, we'll listen in a little bit on this video about what they've already been doing and what they plan to do in the future. All right, they'll kind of touch on that as how if you look at a trending chart of how much of this stuff is able to get through, it's been dying off. And as if you've been watching our videos for a while, you've heard us use certain terminology beforehand, and then now all of a sudden we have to rephrase certain terminology with speaking about a lot of different things, whether it be well, I call it the situation. You know what I'm saying? The thing that had America shut down for a couple of years. The situation, the juicy juice. All right, the MOTB. A lot of these different things. They even speak about that. They're like, well, all of a sudden we got to go out and look up these new terms that they're using to rephrase all these different things because they know that all these different things are not to say affecting them, but it's basically the truth, and they're trying to censor it. In which again they'll speak on this in this here video. But hey, for your sake, for the elect's sake, man. All right, you want to be able to get this, as you can see, if you can measure the times, like we preach about measuring the times diligently in the whole thing, measure the time of how much more longer we have this here vehicle to push the word out, man. Look at how much more time the Lord's going to have this here out there, man. It says, then, and salt water shall be found in the sweet. All right. So, hey, there's going to be a point in time where, how they talk about this misinformation. Hey, this is what they're trying to get rid of. They're trying to get rid of the truth so they can just push their misinformation. Because think about it. A lot of the time, like, let me find a precept real quick. Obadiah 1:6. Right. It says, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? So if it was up to him, this is basically like an information war that's going on right now, man. All right. And so if Esau could have it his way, he would just have everything being disinformation. You know what I'm saying? Just think about just on a basic level, not even the things that's going on right now. He would have you believe, look, man, there ain't no God. All right. There was a big bang that happened. All right. There was evolution. Y'all was monkeys and you didn't turn into this. You know what I'm saying? There's no point in none of this extra stuff. We're going to just be where we at right now, and that's just on the slightest level. So how much more now, in the times that we're coming into where they want to put that, that chip inside of you, there's nothing wrong with this. Let's just go ahead and have this and that. And, all these different things that they have going on for their new world order agenda. All right. They would just have all that going on if they wanted information when they had it their way. But what's going up against that, man? All right. They're not shutting down, channels telling you that, you can go and become a transformer. All right. You can go do this. You can go do that. Or, vampires are real, or, they got all kind of like little fantasy, stupid shit on the internet, a lot of scams and things like that, but just a lot of things selling you falsehoods on the internet and things like that. I think I seen an article about a dude who paid to become a dog or something like that. I ain't even click on that madness, but hey, shit like that is still up and floating. They don't put misinformation on that or anything else like that. But hey, this is what you got going on. They don't stop. Another thing talking about hate speech and violence and everything else like that. What about the rap music, man? All right, you had one of these rappers who on, I believe his album cover he showed, all right, himself being pregnant, right? They don't stop that for misinformation. Just a lot of the killing and drill music. They don't stop none of that for hate speech and violence and everything when they talking about airing it out and smoking so-and-so packs and, all these different things. They don't, and in the music videos, they show them riding around with guns and Dracos. They don't stop none of these things, man. All right. But, when it comes to this here truth, all right, there's a what you call information wars going on right now. And, Esau is trying to win that. All right. So you're going to have, a time where you're going to find, that salt water, what happens when you drink salt water makes you more dehydrated. All right. You get delusional and things like that. You start listening to him. You start believing him, man. All right. Just look around at the people that you see around that's delusional about a lot of these different things. What have they been doing? They've been drinking the salt water, man. All right. We always talk about these women a lot and how they took the so-called feminist route and they could do all these different things and then they wound up hitting the wall. Why do you think they want to crashing and burning and hitting the wall and waking up to a life of depression because they was drinking that salt water. What happened to these young boys that think that they can become rappers and everything else like that, and they wound up on that doggone couch, and then they wound up being depressed and everything else like that? Because why? They was drinking that salt water. What happened to you people who thought you was living this here American dream, was gonna come up here and get a bag, make some money, and just live happily ever after? And then all of a sudden you woke up in the American nightmare. You was drinking that salt water, man. All right, so you was worse off than where you was beforehand, man. All right, you had some people that was, regular people in this world doing regular shit in this here world who, over a long period of time would have fared, average at best. You know what I'm saying? And, what's wrong with being average at best? But now you way worse, you way below all that, man. All right. So, some people, are waking up to these things. But what happened to them originally, man? They was drinking this here Babylon juice, man. This Babylonian juice to what? This was like that salt water. They was listening to Esau and wound up becoming more dehydrated than anything, man. All right. You seeing all these people who, wind up buying all these homes and everything else like that. Just look back at the 2008 crisis. That's a prime example of, drinking this here salt water. Everybody thought it was a good deal, but then guess what happened to them? At the end all be all, they was way more hurt than they was beforehand, man. And the same thing with this here information wars going on, man. This is, I use that example to show forth, like, yeah, it sounded good in the beginning when you was listening to the damn devil, like the scriptures say. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and grab that real quick. Where's it at? Actually, Sirach 12:10, it says, never trust thy enemy, for like iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. All right. So, amen. Never trust thy enemy. All right. It says, set him not by thee, least when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, and that thou at last remember my words and be pricked therewith. All right. So, hey, just like I was saying with the 2008 crisis and a lot of these other things, a lot of people were so-called average at best. I keep using this 2008 crisis, the housing crisis, because, we've already been through, you've seen what happened to people. But there was some people that was quote unquote average at best, living in a little apartment, might have been in the hood. They didn't have no real debt, but they wasn't, really, financially, rich or nothing like that, but hey, they was able to pay their little apartment rent. You know what I'm saying? Drive their little used car that was paid off and everything else like that. They had their job. You know what I'm saying? They might have been able to go buy them, some little outfits here, there throughout the year and everything else like that. Keep groceries in their house. But guess what? Esau came to them with that little Babylonian juice. Hey, man, go get you a house. You can afford a house and this and that. They moved into their new little house for a little while, and all of a sudden they raised up the interest rates. And guess what? You got foreclosed on that house. And now your credit is worse off than it was before. Now you can't even get into that damn apartment that you was in before because your credit messed up. Now you owe all this your money. Now you way worse off than you was. You thought you had it bad in that apartment. So you was average at best. But then now all of a sudden, your ass is way worse off, man. All right. So the same thing's going to, take place in these times now where, they get rid of the prophets that's on the internet telling you the truth. All right. You thought you didn't like hearing what we had to say because it sounded all rough and everything else like that. And you thought this was the wrong thing to be listening to. You thought all these things. But look, once Esau get us up off this here YouTube and off the internet and things like that, what do you think you're going to be left with, man? All right. Let me Sirach 12:13. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with the serpent, or such that come nigh to wild beasts? So, hey, man, once we get gone, the Most High is going to bring upon this here famine of the word, which we'll grab. But nevertheless, you start listening to Esau, and then you get bit and pricked with his words, because why? His words were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. All right. You start listening to what he got going on, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in a way worse predicament than you was before. You thought you didn't like listening to us because we spoke harshly, we spoke about doom and gloom. But guess what? He's gonna be selling you a sweet dream, but it's gonna be how they say what's that song called? A beautiful nightmare or whatever, man. All right. So hey, Esau don't have nothing good for you, man. All right, it's all lies and all deceit. All right. Let me read this real quick and we'll get into this here video. This is Amos 8:11. It says, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh power, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor of thirst for water, but of hearing the word of Yahweh. So, hey, as we already see in the famine, an actual famine of food, this is not talking about food. This is actually talking about of hearing the scriptures, the truth, man. All right. And as we're going to get into this here video, you're going to start hearing about what they're doing to counter that, man. All right. Using every example, every excuse, everything that they can to try to stop this without coming out directly saying, look, those Israelites, we got to get rid of them off the internet, man. Everything else is good. Everything else can fly. But look, those Israelites, now we got to get rid of them. All right. Verse 12, and they shall wander from sea to sea, and from north even to the east, and they shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it. And that day shall the fair virgins and the young men faint for thirst. So, hey, there's going to be a point in time where you're going to be looking for this here truth, but guess what you're going to find out there, man? All right, and please believe that they're going to have, things or people that look like us out there that's spreading false information, as you already see some of them people out there now, when it comes to the MOTB telling you certain things like an embargo, Christianity, sleeping with the white woman, all kind of things like that. That's that salt water, man. You start drinking that, you're going to be way worse off than before, man. All right. You were listening to us, but you just can't get over, the type of tone that we be bringing to you. You know what I'm saying? But at least you was listening to the truth. But guess what? You stopped listening to the truth, and now you start listening to these people with this sweet tone that they preaching with. And now you over here taking the MOTB because you think it's sleeping with the so-called white woman. So you stop sleeping with the so-called white woman, take this here chip, and your ass still eating missile, trying to figure out why the hell that you going through the things that you're going through, man. All right. And then you see Jake over there, you know what I'm saying? Like in the truth, all right, being delivered. Like, how is he delivered? How is he counted among the saints, man? All right. But hey, that's because you refuse to hear the truth, man. All right. Let's go ahead and play a little bit of this video. And again, this is coming from the World Economic Forum, with the leader or the head of YouTube. What's her name? Susan with Jicki or Jecki. All right.
Well, we'll see how that continues. Yeah. I can't not ask you about misinformation. It is a problem that plagues every social media platform, but it definitely plagues YouTube. And I know you've done a lot to put policies in place, tweak algorithms, to recommend the right things.
They're talking about tweaking the algorithms and things like that. But hey, let's talk about this misinformation. When it came down to this global situation that was going on, when the people first came out and the Dr. F boys came on the scene and everything else like that, was they not spreading misinformation, saying one thing and then something else happened? Your commander in chief, you know what I'm saying? Don't he be telling you one thing and then the complete opposite happens on the other side? When it comes to all these wars and everything else like that, aren't they constantly getting caught up with what they say and then what the actual narrative is? All right, but you're not censoring none of them. All right, they're like, oh, well, we made some mistakes here and there. Once you get exposed and once you get busted, and you can't cover it up no more. All right.
But I have to wonder. In January, a global coalition of fact-checking organizations found you to be a major conduit of fake news, despite all that you've put in place. So, is this just a flaw in social media platforms that cannot be rectified? I mean, can we ever actually solve this, or is it just a problem that cannot be solved in the current way of platforms being operated?
We're definitely investing a huge amount to make sure that we're fighting misinformation, and there are a number of different ways that we look at this. So the first would be, from a policy standpoint, we would look at content that we would think about in terms of being violative of our policies. So if you look at COVID, for example, we came up with 10 different policies that we said would be violative. Like an example of that would be saying that COVID came from something other than a virus. And we did see people attacking 5G equipment, for example, because they thought that it was causing COVID. And so that would just be an example of a policy that we'd remove. So we do remove content based on those policies. We actually publish that in a transparency report. The second one would be really raising up authoritative information. So if you are dealing with a sensitive subject like news, health, science, we are going to make sure that what we're recommending is coming from a trusted, well-known publisher that can be reliable.
And it's funny that they speak about these places that's so-called reliable. A lot of these places are the main stays of the people who keep getting caught with their so-called lies, man. But then they have the power and the ability to say, oh, well, new information has come out, new science has come out, new this and new that has come out. And it's funny the fact that there's a lot of things that we've been saying from the jump, all right, that at the end all be all, they wind up repeating the same narrative. But then they've already hit us with so-called, these strikes and everything else like that. It's like, well, wait a minute. We've been saying this from the beginning. Y'all struck our videos down and everything else like that because y'all had a different narrative. And then lo and behold, later on in time, y'all wind up repeating the same shit that we were saying. So what do we have going on here, man? All right, there are a lot of people that's out there, spreading like crazy stuff, like with the 5G situation, hey, and again, hey, we even told you the truth about that from the jump. I know myself personally been speaking about the 5G for multiple years on end. All right, and talking about how they say oh, this ain't that. This is just a 5G. I'm like, well, y'all don't really know about 5G. You have to have those 5G towers like every fucking 20 feet. America don't have no real 5G. I don't care what your cell phone say. My cell phone say 5G, but if you actually do an internet test between 5G and 4G, you don't really have 5G speeds, man. All right, so we don't even have 5G here in America for that to even happen and for it to be around the globe. So yeah, if you was in some type of truth, you would know about those things, man. But yet, lo and behold, you got a bunch of dumb niggas that get on the internet and be passing around this here information. But hey, again, like I was saying earlier, they could use things like that to so-called how do I say, use that for their benefit to shut down certain things as a blanket statement. All right.
And if you think about how Google works, it's very similar. Like if you type in cancer or you type in COVID, what you're going to get are going to be names that you recognize. They're not going to be someone that just published a web page yesterday. So it's very similar with regard to how we handle that.
And so there you go again. Now granted, we hadn't just published our pages yesterday. Now sometimes brothers have to have brand new channels or backup channels and things like that. But because they keep constantly striking us down. But, this is more or less also what they're saying. It's like, well, we're going to give you the big guy, not the little guy, the guy who got, 5 views on his channel and everything else like that. We're not going to push him to the forefront. We'll push the guy, with 100 million views or 70 million views who just uploaded this video yesterday, i.e. like the CNNs, the Fox News networks and things like that. You look at, their latest video that they updated, man, like maybe an hour ago, 2 hours ago, they got all these different views on there, comparably to, the brothers that's in the truth, man, and granted, the brothers that be in the truth, some brothers get, a low a low viewer account versus a high viewer account. That don't mean nothing, man, because, hey, this is only for the elect, a small remnant. So, hey, let's just say you only getting one view. You may be getting just that one elect member getting at their view, but that information is still going out, man. All right. But it don't mean it's not the truth or whatever you're speaking. And even if is another thing I've also known, because you can go into your YouTube studio app and you can see, where a lot of your views are coming from. All right. And a lot of times your videos, like, because I know for myself personally, I don't have Facebook. Never had I had Facebook like in 2006. But as far as like what we got popping nowadays, I ain't never had no Facebook. But like they'll show that my videos are being viewed on Facebook and things like that. And it was like, well, somebody obviously is taking my videos and putting them up on Facebook, and that ain't me. Somebody else is doing it, and some of the other little search engines and things like that. So, it don't, just because you may be seeing you only getting one view don't mean that's the only view that you're getting. But nevertheless, they saying the fact of, oh, well, we don't want the small guy to get the information out there. We want the big guy, which is the one that they so-called back, the quote unquote reputable guy and everything else like that. But hey, that don't necessarily mean that, how they say the lie spread faster than the truth. All right. It's not about what's true. It's about what's more entertaining. They say that a lot of times, when it comes to like a lot of these celebrities and these gossip things like that, they'll spread a story about some false narrative or some gossip and things like that. And that spread a lot further than, when a person come out with the truth, like, no, that ain't actually true. This is that. And people still hear about what's really going on about these things, man. And there's a certain R&B singer who is locked up right now. All right. And they talk about what he did to these women and this and that. But when you look up what he actually is in jail for, it's racketeering and financial things. But see, when you ask people about why he in jail, they talk about the things that he done to women. They're like, well, actually, he in jail for financial reasons and things like that. But hey, it's not about what the truth is. It's about what's more entertaining. So that goes around a lot faster than what the actual truth is. All right. Let's finish this off.
On YouTube. The third is making sure that if there's content that's borderline content that technically meets our policy but is lower quality, that's content that we basically will not recommend to our users. Our users could still access it, but they will not recommend it.
Going back into that shadow ban, man. All right, so you may start seeing less and less of your the brothers uploading videos and things like that, because why? They start shadow banning these things. They know the channels and things like that. They know about, and this is why brothers get less and less views. And sometimes you'll see you don't get notifications about certain things because why? They're not so-called pushing and promoting these channels and these videos, man. All right, there's a thing called shadow banning, man, where they'll sit there and not recommend your video. You may not, like you can upload and be how you say, have your notifications on and everything else like that. But then as soon as they upload, that video don't ever show up. All right, you have to actually go to that channel and look at the channel like, damn, they didn't upload it the last couple of days, and then you ain't ever seen none of the videos. Yeah, man, you didn't been shadow banned, or they don't want to so-called push that how do I say that narrative? Because think about it, YouTube is in business because wow, their main thing is like a lot of these apps is we don't give a damn what y'all do. We just need y'all to keep your eyes focused on this here app all day long. The more time y'all focus on this, we don't care what the hell kind of content it is, as long as it's drawing eyes. And that's, look at their advertisement, man, or whatever is, they'll pay the top dollar to the person who get the most views, the longest watch time, and everything else like that. No matter what the hell you got on there, granted, they don't want nobody killing nobody on there, but whatever's going to garner the most views. So look, think about how many brothers are sitting here just constantly just only use YouTube just to watch videos on the truth, man. Only watch videos about brothers preaching and things like that. How many different brothers are uploading videos? How many different brothers are just going on video after video after video after video after video. All right, but getting still, they don't push these videos up to the forefront, man. All right, they keep these all hidden, man. All right, because why? It's truth coming out. It's not because you got watch time and brothers is on the YouTube watching videos all day long. It's the fact of the matter is like, nah, we don't want them to hear this. All right, now if they was over here watching twerking videos all day long, we'd let them watch that. But because this is the topics that they're watching, we can't have that go on. Let me read this real quick. This is Matthew 24 and 9. It says, then they shall deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And going into this, as far as hang on, let me actually read this as well too. I mean, I could read from up there, but hey, let me just read up from up here. Actually, as a matter of fact, Matthew 10 and 16, it says, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves, and be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Because, hey, look, man, we're not hurting nobody. We're not doing anything. We're not overthrowing governments or nothing like that. We just bringing out truth, man. We'll find certain things that's going on, and we'll, filter it through the scriptures and things like that, man. So what's such a harm with that? We're not leading people astray, not leading people off cliffs and things like that. But what are they out there doing, man? All right, they have all kinds of different videos. The Ku Klux Klan can sit there and have their videos and their propaganda up there and everything else like that. They can have videos promoting, your children to go out there and become transformers and all kinds of different things. And man, all these so-called, the Kardashians and these beauty standards are, messing up the minds of these little young girls with the what they call, like, not body positivity, but these beauty standards and things like that, bringing depression amongst these young little girls and the depression and things like that. But they allow all this to go on for days and years on end, man. But hey, look at what they have going on for us, man. All right, this is but beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. All right, and they shut down our videos and everything else like that. And you should be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for testimony against them. And the Gentiles. All right. Now, hey, granted, this is why we also tell you to, watch how you walk, watch how you move and certain things like that, because you don't want to get caught up and then for some BS that you're doing. And then, you bring blame upon the truth, man. And they be like all up in court, you doing something, you done flipped out and did some crazy shit and beat somebody's ass out in public and everything else like that. Then they bring it up in court. See, you're a violent person and this is that. This is a hate crime just because, hypothetically, you might have got into a fight because some Edomite dude and said something to you out in public, or did something to you and you just happen to whoop his ass, and then all of a sudden now they bring you up in court now. So they use all these things up against you, man. Now you bringing blame into the the truth, man, all because of how you carry yourself, and then things like that happen. It says, but when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what you shall speak, for it will be given to you in the same hour what you shall speak. Sometimes these things do happen, but hey, man, there ain't no plan that you go, well, if this happened, I'm gonna do that. Nah, man, just go with the Spirit. It says, for it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. And brothers shall now, and granted, the same thing also happens sometimes on the highways and the byways, man. Hey, there ain't no real plan and no real agenda for that. That happens all the time where the police ride up, and a lot of times, man, and speaking from experience, hey, there is no, I got a game plan. If the police ride up on me, I'm going to just do this, I'm going to do that, or I'm going to just take off. Granted, they roll up and tell you, you can't be preaching right here. And no need for no strife. I got my rights and everything. Hey, man, just move to another spot. But, a lot of the times the police will ride up. I've had this happen a couple times, recently in the last couple of weeks, where the police, they'll just ride up. post up right on the side, just be looking to see what you're doing, listen for maybe 30, 45 minutes or whatever you're preaching about. You ain't got to change up your doctrine and everything that you preaching just to appease them. But nevertheless, they'll listen to what you got going on. And like, well, he ain't really hurting nobody. And they just move the fuck on down the block. People call the police because they be weary and they be seeing something new and something strange. But at the end all be all, man, hey, the Lord got us set up out there, man. All right. So, hey, just keep it in the spirit of the Lord. But it says, verse 21, and the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. And you shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth unto the end shall be saved. All right. So, hey, going into to this here time frame that we coming into, man, this is a time where Esau wants to, bring in a famine of the word, use this here against you, all right, make you out to be the bad guy and everything else like that. So we looking at the video of the World Economic Forum, and this is what they talking about doing here with the YouTube and their plans for these things, all right? There's about a minute left for this that I want to play, so I'm going to go ahead and let this finish out and we'll close out.
And then lastly, we're just really careful about what we monetize, so we always want to make sure that there's no incentive. So, for example, with regard to climate change, we don't monetize.
And that's another thing. We don't monetize our videos.
Any kind of climate change material. So there's no incentive for you to keep publishing that material that is propagating something that is generally understood as not accurate information.
And they said there's no incentive for that. Hey, man, we're not getting paid by you guys. We're getting paid by the Lord, man. All right.
I mean, misinformation is not new to the internet. It's been around since before for all time, but we definitely see that there is a role for and there is a risk, and that's why we have put a lot of effort. This report that you cited, I haven't seen that report, but there certainly are many other reports that give us a good grade there. And I think if you look at the work that we have done across the board, it really shows a very significant improvement. We came out with a set of data that we thought was really useful, which is how much content that is violative are we not catching with our enforcement. And that is about 10 to 12 videos per 100,000 views. And if you look at the chart in terms of how that's changed over time, that number has come down significantly, and our plan is to continue to work on it and make sure that we continue to reduce that.
So it sounds like very, to the extent that you can, things that are not credible sources and don't recommend. But also still sounds like a work in progress. Do you think it always will be a work in progress?
And that's it right there.
That number has come down significantly, about 10 to 12 videos per 100,000 views. And if you look at the chart in terms of how that's changed over time, that number has come down significantly, and our plan is to continue to work on it and make sure that we continue to reduce that.
So it sounds like very, to the extent that you can, things that are not credible sources. And
there you go. Burying it to the bottom, man. All right. But hey, we all know that this is all a part of Esau's plan, of silencing the prophets. Ultimately, it's the Most High's plan. But that's why you should be seeking the Lord while he may be found. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord's will is the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and ever will. And salutation, much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.